7 brown patches can look identical from the porch, but each one may be telling a completely different story. One patch might be leaf damage from heat or dull mower blades. Another might be roots eaten by grubs. A third could be soil packed so tight that water never reaches the root zone. The next one may trace the path of a sprinkler that misses a corner, or a spot that bakes in afternoon sun. And sometimes the culprit is not the lawn at all. It is a dog, a spill, or something else visiting the yard. The first rule is simple. Brown blades do not always mean dead grass, and a circle does not automatically mean fungus. Before you buy the loudest bag at the garden center, you need to ask where the damage starts: leaves, roots, soil, water, sun, or visitors. In this video, we will use clues you can check in the yard, not guesses. Start by identifying what kind of lawn you have, because the same brown patch can mean different things in different grass types. Think of the country in 3 broad lawn regions. In the north, most lawns are cool season grasses. These include Kentucky bluegrass, tall fescue, perennial ryegrass, and fine fescue. They grow hardest in spring and fall, and they often struggle when summer heat and drought arrive. In the south, most lawns are warm season grasses. These include Bermuda grass, zoysia grass, St. Augustine grass, and centipede grass. They love heat, grow most actively in summer, and can turn brown when cool weather pushes them into dormancy. The tricky area is the transition zone, where either type may be growing. One neighborhood might have tall fescue, while the next yard has zoysia grass or Bermuda grass. If you live in that middle band, do not follow a repair calendar until you know the grass. Seeding, plugging, fertilizing, and even deciding whether the lawn is dying or resting all depend on that answer. This also changes the way you judge disease pressure. A humid summer may hit tall fescue with brown patch disease, while a warm season lawn nearby may be dealing with a completely different issue, or simply reacting to shade, mowing height, or irrigation. So before we name a culprit, use a detective sequence. Look first at the brown blades, then check the crowns at the soil line. Tug on the grass and inspect the roots. Pull a soil plug, watch the sprinkler heads run. Notice shade from trees and buildings. Finally, map the obvious traffic patterns from pets, people, wheels, and equipment. That order keeps you from treating the wrong lawn for the wrong problem. Fungal disease is the suspect most homeowners jump to first, and sometimes they are right. The trap is assuming every round brown area is fungus. A sprinkler miss, dog urine, buried debris, grubs, or heat stress can all make a circle from across the yard. Real disease usually leaves clues on the grass blade itself. Walk to the edge of the patch where green turf is fading into tan or brown and pull a few individual blades. Look for lesions, spots, dark borders, or a smoky-looking band near the margin of the damaged area. The center of an old patch may be too far gone to tell you much, so inspect the active edge. Also pay attention to the pattern after weather changes. Many lawn diseases look worse after warm, humid nights, heavy dew, frequent rain, or irrigation that keeps leaves wet for hours. You may see irregular rings, thinning turf, or patches that spread fastest in shaded, still, poorly draining parts of the yard. That field check matters because fungus is not one problem. Brown patch is a common example, especially on susceptible cool season grasses like tall fescue and perennial ryegrass during hot, humid weather. Warm season lawns can get disease too, but the names, timing, and treatments may be different. The first correction is not automatically a fungicide. Start by reducing leaf wetness. Water in the early morning so the lawn dries during the day. Avoid evening watering, even if the grass looks tired at sunset, because wet leaves overnight create ideal disease conditions. Improve airflow by trimming dense shrubs, managing shade, and removing heavy thatch if it is present. If the damage is spreading quickly, confirm the disease before spending money. Compare wet, shaded, or low areas with drier spots nearby. Check local university extension photos and recommendations for your grass type and region. A fungicide can help in the right situation, but using one on every circle wastes money and can hide the real cause while the patch keeps expanding. Drought stress can make turf look dead long before it actually is. The first clue is often a bluish-gray cast across the lawn, especially in the afternoon. Then footprints or mower tracks stay visible instead of springing back up. After that, the blades curl, fold lengthwise and start turning tan. The pattern usually points to heat and water loss. Look for the worst damage on high spots, sunny slopes, windy corners, thin soil, and edges near driveways, sidewalks, or patios. Pavement stores heat and pulls moisture from nearby soil, so crispy brown strips along concrete are often a moisture problem, not a mysterious disease. Before you declare the grass dead, do a simple tug test. Grab a small handful in the brown area and pull gently. Dormant turf is usually still anchored because the crowns and roots are live below the surface. Truly dead turf often lifts more easily, or you may find dry, shriveled crowns and roots with no firm white tissue left. This is where homeowners often make the damage worse. Do not scalp the lawn to clean it up. Short mowing exposes the crowns to more heat and removes the leaf tissue the plant needs to recover. Do not dump on fertilizer during severe heat stress either, because forcing growth when roots are short on water can burn the lawn and increase stress. Also avoid panic watering for a few minutes several times a day on an established lawn. That keeps moisture near the surface, encourages shallow roots, and may leave the canopy wet without recharging the root zone. If watering is allowed in your area, irrigate deeply and less often, then adjust based on soil type, rainfall, slope, and grass species. The regional caveat matters. Cool season lawns in northern areas can go into summer stress during hot, dry spells and still recover when temperatures drop. Warm season lawns may naturally slow down or brown during cool season dormancy, even when they are healthy. The goal is to read the season, the grass type, and the roots before you decide the patch is beyond saving. Cause 3. The sprinkler pattern nobody notices. One of the sneakiest lawn problems is not a lack of watering, it is uneven watering. A sprinkler zone can run on schedule every week and still leave parts of the lawn thirsty because the water is not landing where you think it is. The clues are usually geometric. Look for repeating dry arcs, brown strips halfway between sprinkler heads, or oddly green circles right around the heads. Dry corners are another giveaway, especially where the spray barely reaches. If a patch lines up with a fence, shrub, playset, grill, or patio chair, that object may be casting a spray shadow and blocking water from the turf behind it. This is why irrigation problems mimic almost everything else. A dry patch can look like drought stress, insect damage, disease, poor soil, or dog urine, depending on the week. The grass is not reacting to the watering schedule on your controller. It is reacting to the amount of water that actually hits that exact spot. The field check is simple. Put straight-sided catch cans, tuna cans, or irrigation cups across the zone, including the green areas, the brown areas, the corners, and the strips between heads. Run that sprinkler zone for a normal cycle, then compare the water depth in each container. If one can has 3 times as much water as another, the lawn is being managed like one area, but it is living in several different moisture zones. Do not fix that by blindly increasing the whole schedule. The already wet spots may stay damp too long and become more disease-prone, while the dry strip between heads still receives poor coverage. More runtime only helps if the dry area is actually getting water during the run. Start with the hardware. Clean or replace clogged nozzles, straighten tilted heads, raise sunken heads above the grass, and adjust spray direction so water is not hitting the sidewalk instead of the lawn. Check whether the heads are spaced correctly, because many systems fail where one head does not throw water all the way to the next head. Then adjust timing to match the soil. Clay may need shorter cycles with soak time between them so water can enter instead of running off. Sandy soil may need a different schedule because it drains faster. Follow local watering restrictions and water early in the morning so the lawn has time to dry during the day. New seed is the exception to the deep watering rule. Fresh seed needs the surface kept consistently moist until it germinates and roots down. Established cool season and warm season turf usually does better with deeper, less frequent irrigation, adjusted for weather, soil, and grass type. Now move from the sprinkler pattern to the root zone because some patches look thirsty even when moisture is not the main problem. If the grass wilts, browns, and fails to bounce back after reasonable watering, the damage may be happening under the crown, where you cannot see it from the mower. Grubs are one of the classic hidden causes. These are beetle larvae that live in the soil and feed on turf roots. When enough roots are chewed off, the grass loses its anchor and its ability to pull up water. From above, that can look like drought stress, disease, or a weak patch that keeps thinning for no obvious reason. The field check is the carpet test. Go to the edge of the damaged patch, grab a handful of turf and gently pull. Healthy turf should resist because the roots are holding it in place. If the sod lifts or rolls back like loose carpet, dig a small soil plug at that edge and inspect the root zone. White, curved grubs may be sitting in the upper soil, especially during active feeding periods. Look for supporting clues too. Skunks, raccoons, birds, or armadillos may dig into the lawn because they are hunting grubs. The surface may feel loose or spongy underfoot. The patch may expand as the root feeding spreads, while nearby turf still looks normal because its roots are intact. Do not treat on a guess. One grub in a soil sample does not automatically mean the lawn needs a pesticide, and a neighbor finding grubs does not prove your yard has a damaging population. Animal digging is also not a treatment threshold by itself, because animals may dig for several insects or return to old feeding spots. The next step is confirmation. Check more than one soil plug along the border between healthy and damaged turf. Count what you find and compare it with your local university extension threshold. That detail matters because grub species, turf type, season, soil temperature, and regional beetle life cycles all change the best response. If treatment is justified, timing is critical. Preventative products and curative products are not the same, and applying the wrong one at the wrong point in the grub life cycle can waste money while the turf keeps declining. Follow extension guidance for your area and repair the lawn only after the root feeding problem is under control, because new seed or sod cannot establish well in a root zone that is still being eaten. Compacted soil can make a lawn fail even when your watering and fertilizer are reasonable. The roots are not being eaten this time. They are being squeezed into ground that has lost the air spaces roots need to breathe, drain, and spread. The visual clues often show up where people and machines repeat the same path. Look for thin turf along walkways, beside patios, around play areas, near gates, at driveway edges, and in the strip where trash cans or wheelbarrows travel. You may also see patches where rain puddles on the surface or where water runs across the lawn instead of soaking in. Here is the quick field check. Take a long screwdriver and push it into the soil in the weak patch. Then do the same test in a healthy part of the lawn after similar moisture conditions. If the screwdriver slides into the healthy area but stops hard in the thin area, compaction is likely part of the problem. For a better comparison, pull a few small soil plugs from both spots. Compacted soil often looks dense, tight, and layered, with short roots sitting near the surface instead of reaching downward. Healthier soil usually breaks apart more easily and shows deeper root growth. The mistake is trying to force growth on soil that cannot support it. More seed may sprout and disappear. More fertilizer may push a brief flush of color without fixing the root zone. If roots cannot get oxygen, drain properly, or grow into open pore space, the patch keeps coming back. If this kind of diagnosis is helping you see the lawn differently, subscribe before we move to the next cause. The goal is not to buy more products, it is to match the repair to the real failure point. The first corrective step is properly timed core aeration. Core aeration removes small plugs of soil, opens channels for air and water, and gives roots room to expand. Spike shoes or simple poking do not do the same job, because they can press the soil sideways and leave the surrounding ground tighter. After aeration, repair according to your grass type and season. Cool season lawns usually seed most reliably from late summer into early fall, when soil is warm and weed pressure starts dropping. Warm season lawns are usually established or repaired after active growth begins in late spring or early summer. Timing matters, because even loosened soil will not save seed or sod installed during the wrong growth window. Shade can make a lawn look sick even when nothing is attacking it. The clue is usually not one sharp dead spot. It is a slow thinning under trees, along the north side of fences, or near shrubs where the grass gets weaker every season. Look closely at the pattern. Shade stress often shows up as sparse turf, mossy patches, damp soil that stays wet longer, or grass that stretches upward and then collapses. You may also see tree roots showing at the surface, especially under maples, oaks, pines, and other large trees that pull hard from the same soil the grass is trying to use. The patch may also creep outward over time. That happens because the tree canopy expands, the shade line moves, and the root system spreads farther into the lawn. A spot that used to get enough light can slowly become a low-energy zone where turf cannot keep replacing itself. Here is the field check. On a clear day, compare how many hours of direct sun the weak area gets versus an open, healthy section of the lawn. Then check the soil moisture in both places. Shaded soil may stay damp, but the tree roots can still be stealing water deeper down. Finally, press a small shovel into each area and look for root density. If the weak patch is packed with fine tree roots, the grass is competing in a crowded root zone. The mistake is reseeding deep shade with the wrong grass and expecting it to behave like a sunny front yard. Seed can germinate, look promising for a few weeks, and then fade once it needs more light than the site can provide. The first corrective step is deciding whether turf still makes sense there. If it does, prune only where it is appropriate for the health and shape of the tree, and choose a shade-tolerant grass suited to your region. In cool season areas, fine fescues often handle shade better than many common turf choices. In warm season areas, most lawn grasses need stronger sun, so the limit may come sooner. If the site is too shaded or too full of roots, stop fighting it. Mulch rings, shade-tolerant ground covers, or planted beds can look intentional and healthy, where grass will always look thin. Dog urine is one of the easiest patch problems to verify because the damage usually follows a story you can see with your own eyes. Look for concentrated round or oval spots, often with a straw-brown center where the grass crowns were burned. Around that dead center, you may see a darker green ring where the diluted nitrogen acted like a small dose of fertilizer. The pattern matters more than the single spot. If the same size patches show up near the back door, along a fence line, beside a mailbox, or on the route a dog takes every morning, that is a strong clue. Repeated damage in favorite bathroom areas is especially telling, because the lawn gets hit in the same places before it has time to recover. Here is the field check. Walk the yard and map the patches against pet roots, gate openings, sidewalk edges, and places where a neighbor dog or mail carrier path might bring repeat visits. Then compare older spots with fresh spots. Old urine burns may have a pale, dead middle with some green recovery around the edge. Fresh spots may look dark green at first, then collapse into brown as the salt and nitrogen concentration overwhelms the grass. The mistake is treating the whole yard like it has a mystery fertilizer problem. Random chemicals will not fix a concentrated urine pattern, and heavy feeding can make the surrounding lawn grow while the burned crowns stay dead. If the pattern is clustered, solve the source before you spend money on products. For fresh urine, the first move is simple: dilute it with water as soon as possible. A quick rinse can reduce the concentration before it damages the crowns. If it is your pet, train them to use a designated gravel, mulch, or less visible turf area. That one habit can prevent the same repair from becoming a monthly chore. Dead centers may need repair because burned crowns do not always grow back. Rake out the dead material, loosen the surface, and repair with the right grass at the right season for your region. Cool season lawns usually recover or reseed best in cooler windows, especially early fall. Warm season lawns spread more actively during warm weather, but planting and patching still need the right soil temperatures. Match the repair to the grass, confirm the pattern, and this suspect becomes less of a mystery and more of a manageable routine. Before you buy seed, fungicide, grub killer, or another bag of fertilizer, build the diagnosis in a fixed order. Start with the pattern. Sharp circles, scattered freckles, long strips, edge damage, and patches near sidewalks all point to different suspects. Brown grass is only a symptom, and a circle in the lawn is not automatic proof of fungus. Next, check water coverage because irrigation problems can imitate almost everything else. Run the system long enough to watch the spray pattern, not just the controller. Look for blocked heads, tilted heads, dry gaps between sprinklers, runoff on slopes, and overspray onto pavement. A few tuna cans or straight-sided cups across the patch can show whether one area is getting far less water than the rest. Then tug the turf. If it lifts like loose carpet, inspect for grubs and damaged roots. If it stays anchored, cut a small soil plug from the edge of the patch and compare it with healthy turf nearby. Look at root depth, soil moisture, thatch, compaction, and whether the crown is still firm. Green crowns can recover. Dead crowns need replacement. After that, place the patch patch in context. Heavy shade can thin grass until heat finishes it off. Pet roots create repeat burns in predictable locations. Disease often needs the right weather pattern, leaf symptoms, and a grass that is susceptible. Seasonal stress can make dormant grass look dead even when the plant is protecting itself. Your repair should match your region and grass type. Cool season lawns are usually seeded in late summer to early fall. Warm season grasses are normally established after active growth begins in late spring or early summer. In the transition zone, identify the grass first because timing mistakes are expensive. For disease confirmation, grub thresholds, pesticide choices, and local planting windows, use your university extension service. That keeps the repair targeted, legal, and timed to the conditions in your area. Thanks for watching. Those 7 brown patches may look identical from the porch, but now you have 7 different clues to separate: pattern, water coverage, roots, soil, shade, traffic, and timing. Your first move is simple. Pick the worst patch today and test it. Set out cups for a catch can audit or tug the turf and check the roots. Then write down what the patch is telling you before you buy anything. If you want help with the next step, leave a comment with your grass type, region, and what the patch looks like. Subscribe for more lawn diagnosis videos or watch the next one on how to tell dead grass from dormant grass.